Commander Allison Miller stood tall as she led her team onto Proxima Centauri Station. The space station hung like a shining jewel against the backdrop of stars. This meeting would open new doors for humanity. At least, that's what she believed. "Keep alert," she whispered to Lieutenant Eric Donovan, who walked by her side. "Something feels off." Eric nodded, but kept his face neutral. After 20 years working with alien species, humans had learned to hide their emotions. Many alien races saw human expressions as weakness. The Zitari ambassador greeted them with a formal bow. His blue skin reflected the station's lights as he guided them toward the meeting chamber. "The Council is pleased with human progress," the Zitari said. "Your mining techniques are quite impressive." Allison smiled politely. "Earth is happy to share our methods if the Council approves our request for the asteroid belt rights." The station seemed unusually empty. Allison counted only 3 security guards when there should have been at least 12. She tapped a silent alert code on her wrist device. The massive doors to the main chamber slid open. Instead of the expected council representatives, a group of Veraxi warriors stood waiting. Their scaled bodies and sharp teeth made them perfect soldiers. The Veraxi were known across the galaxy as mercenaries and killers. "What is the meaning of this?" Allison demanded, her hand moving to her sidearm. The Zitari ambassador stepped away quickly. "I apologize, Commander Miller, but the Council has made its decision. Humans are advancing too quickly. You threaten the balance we have maintained for thousands of years." The first shot hit Allison in the chest. She fell backward as chaos erupted. Her team fought bravely, but they were outnumbered. Security forces that should have protected all visitors joined the attack instead. Eric watched in horror as his teammates were cut down one by one. He managed to drag Allison behind a pillar as laser fire scorched the walls around them. "Get back to Earth," she gasped, blood bubbling at her lips. "They betrayed us. The Council, they planned this." She pressed her data chip into his hand. "Evidence, everything's here. Go." With her final order given, Allison Miller closed her eyes forever. Eric fought his way to an emergency escape pod. 3 wounds slowed him down, but pure rage kept him moving. As the pod blasted away from the station, he watched Proxima Centauri Station growing smaller in the distance. The journey back to Earth took 14 days. Eric spent each one reviewing the data Allison had given him. She had suspected something might go wrong. She had recorded everything, including secret conversations between council members planning the ambush. Most damning was a direct order from High Minister Thraxon himself. The humans must be stopped now, before they grow too powerful. Their delegation to Proxima Centauri will never return. When Eric's pod finally reached Earth orbit, the planet was already in mourning. News of the attack had spread. Earth's government had demanded answers from the Galactic Council. The Council's response came quickly: sanctions against Earth for aggressive behavior in neutral territory. They claimed the human delegation had attempted to claim Proxima Centauri by force. They called it a regrettable incident caused by human ambition. President Laura Summers stood before the United Earth Parliament with Eric at her side. His wounds were still fresh, his uniform replaced with a simple black suit. "Today we have proof of the Council's treachery," she said, her voice carrying to every corner of Earth through the global broadcast. "They feared our progress. They feared what humanity might become." She displayed the evidence for all to see: recordings of council meetings, plans for the ambush, the secret agreement giving Proxima Centauri to the Veraxi Empire. "The galaxy has shown us where we stand," President Summers said. "We extended our hand in friendship, and they answered with murder." The vote that followed was unanimous. Earth would withdraw from all galactic affairs. All connections would be severed. Humanity would turn its back on the stars. They did not realize that in doing so, they were setting in motion events that would one day make the galaxy tremble. Captain Lisa Nguyen watched her crew dismantle the research station on Rigel VI. 15 years of human work would disappear in just 3 days. The order had come directly from Earth: leave nothing behind. "Status report," she said into her comm device. "All data has been transferred to our servers, Captain," replied her second-in-command. "Lab equipment is being loaded onto the transport ships now. We've wiped all the computers." Lisa nodded and looked out at the alien landscape one last time. Beautiful purple plants swayed in the breeze. This world had been her home for 7 years. Now she would never see it again. Her device beeped with an incoming message from Admiral William Clark. "Leave nothing behind that could aid them," his stern face said from the small screen. "What we cannot take, we destroy." Lisa understood. The Proxima protocol was clear. Humanity would cut all ties with the galaxy. They would retreat to their home system and secure their borders. No aliens would be allowed in human space. No humans would venture into alien territory. "Begin final destruction protocol," she ordered. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out at every human outpost. Research stations, mining colonies, trade posts, all were emptied and then destroyed. 17 colony worlds began the process of hiding their presence. Special technology masked their energy signatures. Camouflage systems made them appear uninhabited from space. On Earth, the last alien diplomats were escorted to their ships. Most protested, claiming they had nothing to do with the attack on the human delegation. Their words fell on deaf ears. "The Council betrayed us once," said Defense Minister Henry Russell as he watched the alien ships depart. "We will not give them a second chance." The Galactic Council met in emergency session as human ships disappeared from trade routes and space stations. "They are having a childish tantrum," said the Veraxi ambassador, his scaled face showing no concern. "They will return when they realize how much they need our technology." High Minister Thraxon nodded in agreement. "Humans are primitive and emotional. They will not survive long in isolation. When they come crawling back, we will set stricter terms for their participation in galactic affairs." The Council voted to issue a formal statement. The Galactic Council acknowledges humanity's choice of isolation over cooperation. We will respect their primitive desire for solitude. What the Council did not see were the small fleets of unmarked human ships that slipped away from the retreating forces. These ships did not head toward Earth. Instead, they'd ventured into uncharted regions of space, far from the watchful eyes of the Council. On one such ship, Commander Greg Foster studied the star charts of unexplored regions. "Are you sure about this?" asked his navigator, Susan Martinez. "We might never see Earth again." Greg nodded firmly. "These are our orders. Earth needs resources and knowledge that we can't get in our home system. The Council believes we're hiding behind our borders, licking our wounds. They need to keep believing that." Their ship, along with dozens of others, had a secret mission: find new worlds, establish hidden bases, and gather resources beyond the Council's knowledge. Back on Earth, President Summers addressed the United Earth Parliament one final time before the communication blackout would begin. "Today marks the beginning of humanity's new path," she said. "We trusted the galaxy, and the galaxy betrayed us. Now we will trust only ourselves. We will build our strength in silence. We will advance our technology without sharing our discoveries. And one day, when we are ready, we will return to the stars." The Parliament erupted in applause. The hurt of betrayal was still fresh. The desire for revenge burned bright in every human heart. The Proxima Protocol was now fully in effect. To the galaxy, it appeared that humanity had simply given up and gone home. They could not have been more wrong. 10 years passed since humanity had withdrawn from galactic affairs. The trading routes once filled with human ships now belonged to other species. The Council stopped maintaining communication relays pointed toward Earth. Most aliens simply forgot about humans. On the Council capital world of Harmonia, few still spoke of the brief time when humans walked among them. Those who did remember often laughed at how the primitive species had run home after one small incident. "Humans were always too emotional," said Veraxi Trade Minister Zork to his colleagues during a feast. "Their retreat shows their weakness. We are better off without them." The others nodded in agreement, yet not everyone shared this view. Dr. Rhea Kozin, a respected scientist from the ancient Centauri race, stood before the Council Science Committee. Her blue skin had paled with age, but her mind remained sharp. "Something unusual is happening in human space," she said, pointing to star charts. "These energy readings from the edge of their territory show patterns consistent with massive construction projects." The committee members shifted uncomfortably. They did not like being reminded of humans. "Your concerns are noted," said the committee chair dismissively. "But humans lack the technology for any project that would concern us. Their isolation has surely set them back decades." But Dr. Kozin was not satisfied. Her private research showed disturbing trends. Several stars near human space showed decreased energy output, the kind of reduction that would happen if someone was harvesting their energy on a massive scale. When the council refused to listen, Dr. Kozin contacted an old friend, a merchant captain named Jorel, who occasionally ventured near human territory. "I need you to get closer readings," she told him. "Something is happening out there that the council should know about." 3 months later, Jorel's ship returned. The captain looked shaken when he met Dr. Kozin in a private room. "I saw things," he whispered. "Structures bigger than space stations. They appeared on our sensors for just moments before vanishing. My engineer said they must have some kind of cloaking technology." He handed her a data crystal. "We recorded strange energy patterns, like nothing I've seen in 50 years of space travel." Dr. Kozin analyzed the data and grew more concerned. She prepared a report for the full Galactic Council, warning that humans might be developing technology beyond what any council race possessed. Her report was filed away and forgotten. Meanwhile, on the frontier world of New Montana, Governor Frank Hutchins received a secure transmission from Earth Command. To any alien observers, New Montana appeared abandoned, just empty buildings slowly falling apart on a dusty planet. But beneath the surface, thousands of humans worked in vast underground facilities. They built ships, weapons, and devices based on new scientific principles discovered during humanity's isolation. "Progress report," demanded the face on the screen. "Phase 2 construction is on schedule," Frank replied. "The quantum entanglement network is operational. We can now communicate instantly with all human settlements without detection." "Excellent. And the Dyson swarm. Construction drones are operating at 200% efficiency. Energy production has exceeded projections. We're also harvesting resources from 17 star systems beyond Council space." The face on the screen smiled. "The Council believes we've retreated to lick our wounds. They have no idea what we're building out here." Frank nodded. "Most of my people have never seen an alien. They've grown up knowing only that aliens betrayed us. When do we strike back?" "Patience, Governor. Earth hasn't forgotten the betrayal. But revenge isn't our goal anymore. We're playing a much bigger game now." The transmission ended, leaving Frank alone with his thoughts. He walked to the observation deck and looked out at the underground city. Massive factories built ships and weapons. Scientists developed technologies that would have seemed like magic just 10 years ago. The Council had expected humanity to beg for raid mission. Instead, humanity was preparing to return to the galaxy as its new masters. The Veraxi war fleet moved toward the abandoned human mining system. 5 large warships and 12 smaller vessels approached the empty space station that orbited the 4th planet. Humans had left this system 15 years ago. Now the Veraxi Empire wanted its resources. "Scans show no activity," reported the sensor officer on the lead ship. "The system appears empty as expected." Fleet Commander Draz smiled, showing his sharp teeth. "Begin landing operations. This system will bring great wealth to the Empire." The first transport ship moved toward the planet. Suddenly, a bright light flashed in space. The transport simply disappeared. No explosion, no debris. It simply ceased to exist. "What happened?" shouted Commander Draz. "Where is the transport?" Before anyone could answer, 2 more ships vanished in the same manner. Panic spread through the fleet. Their sensors detected nothing. No enemy ships. No weapons fire. Their vessels were simply being erased from existence. "Retreat," ordered Draz. "Full power to engines." Only 2 ships escaped the system. The rest disappeared without a trace. When they returned to Veraxi space, Commander Draz could not explain what had happened. The Veraxi Empire demanded the Galactic Council investigate the incident. 3 weeks later, a science vessel entered the system under a flag of peace. They found only small pieces of debris. The scientists were baffled by what they discovered. The molecular bonds in the ship fragments were somehow selectively broken, explained the lead scientist to the Council. This is not possible with any known weapon technology. The energy required would be enormous. High Minister Thraxon frowned deeply. "Are you suggesting humans might be responsible?" The scientist hesitated. "The evidence is not conclusive, but this technology is beyond anything the Council races possess." Throughout the galaxy, strange events began to occur. On 17 different worlds, power systems experienced unexplained failures. Secure computer networks reported brief unauthorized access. The quantum communication network used by the Council showed strange echo patterns that no one could explain. On the human colony world of Liberty's Edge, Director Olivia Bennett reviewed reports in her underground command center. The surface of the planet appeared abandoned, but beneath the ground, a vast city housed 50,000 humans. "Probe network update," requested Olivia. Her assistant brought a data tablet. "All probes are functioning normally. We have successfully mapped every major military installation in Council space. Our surveillance covers 94% of their governmental centers and 87% of research facilities." Olivia nodded with satisfaction. Over the past 15 years, humanity had launched thousands of tiny self-replicating probes throughout the galaxy. Each no larger than a grain of sand, they gathered information and sent it back through quantum channels that the Council could not detect. "What about the Veraxi incident?" she asked. The automated defense system performed as designed. The Council investigation team found nothing useful. Olivia walked to the large display showing a map of the galaxy. Small lights indicated human presence, both known and secret. The network had grown far beyond what the Council could imagine. "They still believe we're hiding in our home system," she said. "They have no idea how far we've spread or what we've built." Her assistant nodded. "Earth Command sent new orders this morning. We're moving to Phase 3 next month." "Are we ready for that?" Olivia asked, her face serious. "Our technological advantage is now estimated at approximately 200 years beyond Council level. Our production capacity exceeds their combined output, and they remain completely unaware of our preparations." Olivia's expression hardened. "They thought we ran away to hide. They never considered we might be preparing for something much bigger." She touched a control, and the display showed thousands of human ships and installations hidden throughout the galaxy. "Soon, they'll understand their mistake." Exactly 50 years after the Proxima incident, a small unmarked ship appeared in orbit around Harmonia, the capital world of the Galactic Council. The planet's defense systems detected it too late to intercept. "Unknown vessel, identify yourself immediately," demanded the Harmonian defense commander. The ship gave no response. Instead, it began broadcasting a signal to every communication device on the planet. The signal bypassed all security measures, as if they didn't exist. On millions of screens across Harmonia, the face of a human man appeared. He looked to be middle-aged with gray at his temples and calm eyes. "Greetings," he said in perfect galactic standard. "I am Ambassador Paul Martins of Earth. 50 years ago, you taught humanity an important lesson about trust. We have spent that time reflecting on this lesson and preparing an appropriate response. This is your only warning. What comes next is of your making." The message played once and then stopped. Defense ships finally reached the human vessel, but as they prepared to capture it, the ship simply dissolved into particles. Analysis showed it had contained no crew. The entire ship had been a projection of some kind, created with technology far beyond Council understanding. High Minister Thraxon called an emergency council meeting. Representatives from all 37 member species gathered in the Great Chamber. "This human threat is empty posturing," Thraxon declared. "They hope to frighten us with tricks and illusions." The Veraxi ambassador pounded his fist on the table. "We should attack human space now. Destroy them before they can act." Before anyone could respond, the lights in the chamber flickered. The gravity shifted, causing several representatives to float briefly above their seats before crashing back down. Similar events began happening across Council space. On 23 worlds, gravity fluctuated randomly. Navigation systems on thousands of ships suddenly gave incorrect readings, stranding vessels far from their destinations. Power grids failed on dozens of planets. The Council tried to respond, but their communication network became unreliable. Messages arrived scrambled or sent to the wrong destinations. Military ships reported seeing strange objects near key installations, but the objects vanished when approached. On New Montana, Governor Frank Hutchins received new orders from Earth Command. His underground city had grown into a massive complex housing over 3 million humans. Their factories had been producing ships and weapons nonstop for decades. Phase 1 is complete. The message read, "Prepare for Phase 2. The reckoning begins." Frank called his top officials to the command center. "Launch the fleet," he ordered. "Activate all sleeper cells. Begin surface construction." Across hidden human worlds, massive doors opened in the ground. Structures that had been built underground for decades now rose to the surface. Hidden shipyards revealed thousands of warships unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. On Liberty's Edge, Director Olivia Bennett watched as her world transformed. The fake abandoned colony disappeared as holographic projectors shut down. In its place stood a gleaming city of crystal and metal, with technology that seemed magical in its advancement. "Send word to all human worlds," she commanded. "The time for hiding is over." On Earth, President Carlos Vega addressed the United Human Worlds. His speech reached every human settlement through the quantum network that connected all their colonies. 50 years ago, the galaxy betrayed us and expected us to fade away, he said. They thought our retreat was weakness. They were wrong. Our isolation became our strength. We have evolved beyond their understanding. He paused, looking at the camera with fierce determination. Now we return to the stars, not as supplicants, but as masters. The galaxy will learn what happens when humanity turns its full attention and resources toward a single goal, and they will never forget the lesson. Across human space, people cheered. The day they had prepared for had finally arrived. 3 days after the strange events began, a proper human diplomatic vessel appeared at the edge of Harmonia's system. Unlike the ghost ship that had delivered the warning, this one was real and substantial. It was sleek and silver, with no visible weapons, but sensors indicated power readings far beyond anything a ship its size should produce. "Human vessel, you are permitted to approach," the Harmonian traffic controller said nervously. "Please follow the guide beacons to Docking Bay 7. The human ship ignored the designated path. It moved directly to the main council tower and hovered outside the great chamber windows. A beam of light extended from the ship to the council building. Through this beam walked 12 humans in gleaming armor that made them appear twice as tall as the average alien. Leading them was Admiral Samantha Rodriguez. Her dark hair was pulled back tightly, and her eyes surveyed the council chamber with cold calculation. The alien representatives fell silent as the humans marched to the center of the room. High Minister Thraxon tried to appear calm. "Earth has broken its self-imposed isolation. We welcome you back to galactic society." Samantha didn't smile. "We are not returning as members. We are here to dictate terms." Murmurs spread through the chamber. The Veraxi ambassador stood up angrily. "How dare you? The council does not take orders from primitive species." Samantha looked at him. With a small gesture, she activated a control on her wrist. The Veraxi ambassador found himself unable to speak. No matter how he tried, no sound came from his mouth. 50 years ago, Samantha began, Addressing the entire council, your representatives murdered our diplomats at Proxima Centauri Station. You believed we retreated in fear. The truth is very different. She activated a holographic display in the center of the chamber. It showed thousands of human ships emerging from hidden shipyards throughout former human territory. But more impressive were the massive structures humans had built. Artificial worlds the size of moons, devices that seemed to harness the energy of stars, and weapons of unimaginable power. While you fought your petty wars and played your political games, humanity united with a single purpose, Samantha continued. We rebuilt. We evolved. We advanced. The technological gap between us is now greater than the gap that once existed between you and primitive cave dwellers. Fear showed on the faces of the council members. They finally understood what humanity had been doing during its 50 years of isolation. We could destroy you all, Samantha said calmly. That was our first impulse after your betrayal, but we have chosen a different path. You will recognize human sovereignty over all our claimed territories. You will pay reparations for the Proxima massacre, and you will acknowledge humanity as the dominant power in this sector of the galaxy. Thraxon tried to regain control of the situation. These are outrageous demands. The Council will never. Samantha cut him off. This is not a negotiation. She spoke into her wrist device. Demonstration Alpha. On the large view screen that dominated one wall of the chamber, the image shifted to show a distant star. As the Council watched, the star's light dimmed noticeably, and then flared to twice its normal brightness, before returning to normal. The chamber fell completely silent. Every species in the Council knew what this meant. Humanity now possessed the power to control stars themselves. That was an uninhabited system, Samantha said. Consider what we could do to populated worlds if we chose. Thraxon's face had lost all color. What do you want from us? Justice, security, and recognition of what humanity has become. Samantha's voice was steady. You taught us that we could not trust the galaxy. Now the galaxy will learn to trust that when humanity makes a promise or a threat, we keep it. The council members looked at each other. They knew they had no choice. The Galactic Council surrendered to all human demands within a day. They had no choice. The Veraxi representatives were handed over to human justice for their role in the Proxima massacre. High Minister Thraxon publicly apologized before stepping down from his position. 1 month later, human embassies opened across the galaxy. But these were different from the humble offices of the past. They stood like towers of gleaming metal and crystal, their technology so advanced it seemed like magic to the local populations. The human ambassadors themselves had changed too. Most had subtle genetic enhancements, slightly taller, stronger, and faster than their ancestors. Some had neural implants visible as faint blue lines beneath their skin. All carried devices that could tap into vast knowledge networks instantly. On the Zitari homeworld, Dr. Raya Kozin finally met with a human representative. Despite her advanced age, she had lived to see her warnings proven true. I tried to tell them, she said to the human ambassador, but the council wouldn't listen. The ambassador nodded. Some species can only learn through consequences. We appreciate those like you who try to understand us. Dr. Kozin looked out the window at the human ships hovering over the city. What happens now? A new era begins, the ambassador said simply. Alien delegations arrived on Earth for the first time in 5 decades. They were escorted through vast underground complexes where humans were building technology centuries beyond anything the galaxy had seen. The visitors saw ships that could bend space itself, energy sources that drew power from other dimensions, and medical facilities where humans had conquered aging and most diseases. The message was clear. This was only the beginning of human dominance. President Daniel Hayes addressed the United Human Worlds from the Global Assembly Hall in New Washington. His speech reached every human settlement across 57 worlds. When we turned our backs on the galaxy, we did so not in defeat but in determination, he said. We vowed to return only when we could ensure that humanity would never again be vulnerable. That day has arrived. He paused as applause filled the hall. Our isolation forced us to look inward, to solve our own problems, to advance through our own efforts. What seemed like a setback became our greatest opportunity. United in purpose, humanity has achieved in 50 years what might have taken millennia of normal development. Across the galaxy, alien leaders watched the broadcast with a mixture of fear and awe. The lesson is clear, President Hayes continued. Never mistake patience for weakness. Never confuse retreat with surrender. Humanity remembers both friends and enemies, and we have the means to reward or punish each accordingly. Aboard the UES Defiance, Captain Heather Mason prepared her ship for its historic mission. The massive vessel housed 10,000 people and contained technology that could rebuild an entire civilization from scratch if necessary. Final checks complete, reported Commander George Powell. All systems show green. We're ready for jump. Heather nodded. Set course for the Andromeda galaxy. The Defiance would be the first ship to travel to another galaxy. It would take decades to reach its destination, but humans had conquered the problems of long-term space travel. The mission represented humanity's next great leap. They thought our retreat meant we were finished, Heather said quietly. They never considered we might be preparing for something much greater than mere revenge. As the Defiance disappeared into the darkness between galaxies, the other races finally understood the terrible truth. When humanity had turned its back on the galaxy, it wasn't an end. It was the beginning of a new order. Humanity had not just returned to claim its place among the stars. It had returned to own them. The galaxy's fate had been sealed not by humanity's anger, but by its unbounded ambition and determination to never be vulnerable again.